Susie, I'm a con artist and a bit of a bastard. I done some terrible things. Some so stupid they got me in trouble, but I ain't never done nothing like this.
Well, it's the Esoteric Eric Roberts podcast, and tonight we're going to be talking about Fugitive Among Us from 1992, directed by Michael Toshiyuki Uno, and starring Peter Strauss. And second build, you know who's second build, Roy?
Eric Roberts.
That's correct. Eric Roberts as Cal Harper.
That's a cool name.
And this, yeah, that's a cool name. So this is a film.
What did you say the director's name was?
His name is Michael Toshiyuki Uno.
He also served as cinematographer.
Oh, wow. I know he has a long TV career.
Yes.
And this is a TV movie.
Yes, available for free on YouTube.
So it premiered in February of 1992 on CBS on a Saturday night.
Wow.
The movie also stars Lauren Holly.
Yes, yes.
And Elizabeth Pena.
Yes.
And Guy Boyd, who I'm not familiar with.
No.
I can't remember who Guy Boyd plays. Oh, probably.
Do you think Guy Boyd plays his buddy, the buddy cop? That guy was pretty good.
Well, maybe the real bad guy, perhaps.
No, maybe. I'll look it up here in a second. This was one where it's like, yeah, the guy, the real bad guy. That's a nice spoiler, bud.
Well, I was trying to be vague.
Yeah, you're right. There could be a kingpin behind Eric Roberts' Cal Harper's crimes. No, I believe Guy Boyd is the buddy cop, the kind of partner of Peter Strauss.
Do you see who the music is by?
Yes, it was by Stuart Copeland, right?
Friend of the pod, Stuart.
Are you a policeman?
Yeah, Stuart Copeland, who scored Rumblefish.
Yeah.
Probably among many other films. Can you list any other movies you know?
Off the top of my head, Rumblefish is the one that pops into my head. He also did the music maybe for... Did he do the music for... What's the one of the Francis Ford Coppola one that's co-written? Life Without Zoe?
Maybe so.
Not sure. I was never a big police person. I think I had a brief moment of thinking I enjoyed their hits, and then realized it was just peer pressure, and they got annoying to me after a couple listens. I don't know. I'm not the biggest policeman.
I'm a huge Police fan. In fact, I was listening to Zenyatta Mondatta today.
I don't even know that.
That's their second record, or third record.
Wow.
Actually. Yeah. So this is a film inspired by actual events, and it's based on a nonfiction book called Deliver Us from Evil?
Yeah, and Deliver Us from Evil.
And Deliver Us from Evil, which is from the Lord's Prayer. And
never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a good one. The movie is set in Galveston, Texas.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Galveston?
Maybe, I don't recall.
I spent a nice weekend in Galveston one time.
I thought so. Tell me about it.
Well, some friends had rented out one of those stilt houses like you see in the film, one of the hurricane houses, right on the ocean, right there on the Gulf Coast. It was nice. It's a sleepy little... It's funny to think that Texas has kind of... No, I liked it. It makes me laugh to think that Texas has like a little bit of a beach bum culture.
Yes.
Because they have that coastline.
I've never hung out in any of those Texas beaches like Corpus Christi or any of that. South Padre Island or whatever.
I have some family in Corpus, but I didn't spend too much time there.
Never been.
So Eric Roberts in this film stars as a character named Cal Harper.
Yes.
Who, well, I guess we don't really see him for a little bit.
No, we start with a hideous crime.
Yes, a young woman comes home alone to her house and is accosted by a character wearing some snakeskin cowboy boots.
Yes.
And she is cuffed, so she gets handcuffed behind her back. There's a struggle. She bites the guy's hand.
Yeah.
And the guy is armed. He throws her to the ground, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he fires. How many times does he shoot?
Good question. How many times did he shoot?
4 times.
4 times.
But somehow, the young lady survives. And who knows how she dialed the phone. Maybe the neighbors heard the gunshots.
And when he
but
shoots her, he
cops show
calls
up.
her a whore in classic fashion, right?
Yes.
You whore.
You whore. Then he throws her to the ground in the kitchen and fires 4 shots into her. But she's alive.
And I'm glad.
So then we meet Detective Max Cole,
Yes.
played by Peter Strauss, who shows up with his boys.
How many movies is somebody named Cole? Trillion.
A lot.
It's one of the coolest guy names. Max Cole. Wow, that's almost Max Cool.
Cole Trickle.
Yeah.
A lot of coal in Hollywood.
Sure. Max Cole.
Max Cole shows up.
And he's a kind of
And
he's kind of a Max Cole kind of cop in that he's very in shape, right? He's like
He's got a mustache.
He's got a really he's a hard-assed go-getter kind of cop. He's not a lazy man's cop, you don't feel like. He feels like a Vincent Hanna type. This whole movie,
He's a serious-minded guy.
just to skip ahead, like this whole movie has a very influenced by Miami Vice, influenced by Michael Mann aesthetic.
Yes, I see that.
And I think that his character is kind of it's not really taken from Michael Mann's style, but it is kind of and similar to, like in Michael Mann's Manhunter, William Peterson is pretty serviceable as a leading man, but he's kind of like so earnest he's cheesy in a way. But you saw William Peterson once in a play and thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
Like just revelatory. I think that
But pretty forgettable in Manhunter.
I think in this, some might say Peter Strauss was pretty forgettable, but I could see seeing a play with Peter Strauss and him just being awesome. It's like he's not bad in this part. It's just like, we'll get to how we feel about it. But at any rate.
Yeah, because I'd like to ask you some Strauss questions. I don't know how familiar you are with his career.
We'll see.
They're doing some investigating, but they don't really have any leads.
No.
And so the next character that we meet is Cal Harper, played by Eric Roberts.
Yes.
And he's living in a trailer that looks like it's next to a junkyard.
Hell yes,
And
he does.
He's partying with a gal.
She's got him a fucking, like an AK-47 or something. I don't know what they've got there. I don't remember.
He's got a handgun and he has a machine gun.
Yeah, they've got some
rifle.
kind of like big time machine gun, assault rifle. Yeah,
And he's
automatic
just, like,
weapon,
blasting.
semi-automatic, something. Yeah.
He's just unloading into this row of cars.
Yeah.
And like hooting and hollering.
Having a classic. It looks like a good time. It's a beautiful woman.
And she's having fun.
Yeah, if you take away the trailer park, I'm not a big fan of trailer parks, but the rest of it seems fun.
Well, it's not fun for the neighbor lady.
No. And I guess
who
you can
is-
imagine that's a problem if you're shooting off a gun like that. Your neighbors might not care for that even in the middle of the day
Sure.
when they're not trying to sleep.
And she thinks, Eric Roberts throws the woman over his shoulder playfully, but from a distance, the neighbor lady is thinking that he is taking a woman by force.
Oh, yeah.
So she calls the police, and the police show up.
Which-
They search his.
I don't think I would reasonably think that he was taking that woman by force by what she saw.
No, they're having fun.
Yeah, I think that the body language and everything, I would not have believed that. Or if I
Yeah,
was her,
maybe it's a
she was really
nearsighted
being
old
she
woman.
was really being a meanie,
Yeah, she didn't like the gunfire. I don't.
busybody meanie.
Now, does Strauss show up here, the detective?
Good cue. I don't think I don't know if he sees him until Strauss shows up at that first crime scene and we meet Guy Boyd.
Right.
And they hang out and talk and this is when we get one of the classic lines where they're like, "Oh, we got a raper?"
What happened here? Somebody arrived uninvited. It ain't pretty. A raper?
Yeah.
Sure, the guy called him a raper.
I remember now that this is the reason why you brought that up to me.
Yeah, I liked Guy Boyd as a classic country guy. His performance was pretty good. I'm glad you mentioned him earlier. I was not familiar with him at all, and I thought his part was really like all this stuff is kind of written a little too generic in this movie, and his was too generic, but it wasn't his fault.
Yeah. So they bring in Eric Roberts' character to the police station.
Oh yes, on
And-
this offense, you're right. So maybe he does meet, and he definitely meets Guy Cole or Max Cool here.
Yeah, I want to say he probably doesn't meet Max Cool until they get to the station. But there is something that we did leave out that happens before this, which is important. Is
Cole
that
was
Max Cool-
Bruce Willis's name in 12 Monkeys, right?
Yeah, I think so. This Cole, he has some marital problems.
Mm-hmm. He has, yeah. And he punched a door.
He's a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
and there's tension at home, and he's arguing with his wife. He punches a door, injures his hand.
He's an intense
And
dude. He is not Max cool. He's Max intense.
Well, his wife leaves him.
Yeah.
So by the time he meets Roberts in the station, he's had a rough couple days.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
he's looking. Yeah, and you know, if you've ever been in a long fight with a lady, it's like, and it's somebody you care about a lot, someone you love, it's like it can kind of set you off with people where you're kind of like, you're not looking for a fight, but all of a sudden it turns out you were.
Oh, it'll weigh heavy on your mind. You'll carry it around with you. Okay, so Detective Cole, he starts to question Cal Harper, played by Eric Roberts.
Yes, and Eric Roberts is a real peacock in this. He's a guy, he was carrying a woman around and shooting off AK-47s outside the trailer. He's just having fun with this, just taunting the police here. He does not seem afraid.
No, he's very confident, and he zeroes in on the hand bandage on the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts needling him, baiting him.
As a weak spot, and immediately asks almost immediately, it's like first he needles him, what's about, he's like, trouble at home or something, so with the lady.
Yep.
And then he starts saying what he would do with Max Cole's lady.
It wouldn't be no problem if she was with me.
I bet you don't treat her as good as you should.
Sometimes you like to hurt him, don't you, Cal? Where were you Wednesday midnight?
Now, if I was married to your old lady, I'd know how to treat her right.
I said, where were you midnight Wednesday?
Oh, yeah. I know how to pet her till she cooed. Touch her the way she likes to be touched.
Is that so, Cal?
And pretty soon, she get that soft, lazy look in her eyes. You know, the one when she's just about ready to let it go. But I wouldn't take her then. I'd wait for that sweet, low groan that starts from somewhere down deep in her belly.
So this continues for a little bit, and finally Cole's had enough. And
Yeah,
he
it
just
really
beats
eggs
the
him
hell-
on.
He finally beats the hell out of Cal Harper,
Yes.
and they have to let him go.
Yeah. Ruins the case.
So then, because he was assaulted by a cop, and because of did they throw the whole case out? I don't remember.
Very possibly. He does. Yeah, I think they get something else that makes them able to go back to it. And they have to take him off the case. But essentially, he did ruin the case, right?
So Eric Roberts, yeah, I think you're right. I think, so what happens is Eric Roberts goes and meets with a lawyer.
Yes.
Because of the assault.
Yes, and here we meet two people of note. One is the lawyer's, not secretary, maybe assistant or something. What is she?
Yes. She's probably an assistant.
And named Terry Gifford. No, Susie Bryant, played by Lauren Hawley, who would go on to many roles as a character actress and leading actress. And she played the Kim Basinger doppelganger in Entropy. So she played Kim Basinger in the making of Final Analysis in the movie Entropy.
Oh, wow.
And a weird connection here.
Yeah.
And we also meet the lawyer, who is a classic older, ambulance chaser kind of type. And he's played by an actor named Dennis Letts.
Okay.
Do you know who this is?
Dennis Letts. No, I don't.
Dennis Letts was the husband of, and he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he is the husband of Billy Letts, or he's passed away. Billy Letts wrote probably many things, was famous for a book called Where the Heart Is, about a woman that gives birth in a Walmart.
Oh yeah, starring.
And they made it into a movie with Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman.
And their child, I don't know, they may have multiple children, but they have a son named Tracy Letts, who is a very famous playwright and has had multiple pictures that I've enjoyed based on his plays made.
Okay, yeah, I'm familiar with him.
Yes, and so this is his...
August Osage County.
Yes. Killer Joe, Bug are the ones I've seen movies of, and I've enjoyed all those movies.
It's a pretty interesting connection.
Yeah, so those are this is his dad, and you could imagine. So maybe in some way in August Osage County, Sam Shepard is playing Dennis Letts, maybe.
Okay.
And Dennis
Looks like
Letts
Dennis
did
Letts-
not take up acting till he was like 40 or something, or 50. He was like a college professor.
Well, he's pretty good in this.
Yes, he is.
He's very believable.
He went on to many, many roles after this, and maybe before. This maybe wasn't his first, but yeah, he had many roles and not a lot of time.
Well, very quickly in this scene, Eric Roberts kind of zeroes in on the paralegal played by Lauren Holly, and some flirtation begins.
Yeah.
And so they kind of kick off a little thing, and you could tell she's kind of infatuated with him.
Oh yeah, they're definitely making eyes at each other and flirting.
He gets her with that Cal charm.
Yes, she thinks he's very good looking.
So the investigation is continuing with the woman who was shot 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And upon revisiting her home, a bloody boot print is discovered on the rug.
These boots we've seen.
The snakeskin boots.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know who owns a pair of those boots?
I know who. Cal Harper.
Cal Harper. So they go back. They find Cal. They bring him in for a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
The woman is just wrecked. I don't know, like what kind of damage had been done to her, but it almost was like
I
she
can
had
guess.
suffered some brain damage, right?
I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, well, in the lineup scene, it seems like there's like some brain damage has happened.
Yeah, seemed like she got shot 4 times and raped or something.
Maybe she's just traumatized.
She did encounter a raper. That's that'll get you. Shot 4 times, sometimes that'll fuck with your brain. Put you in some shock.
So, I forget the name of the victim lady, but
her name was maybe Sherry Nash, or was she? Yeah, I guess it would be Sherry Nash.
During the investigation, Detective Cole is very close to this woman who's been shot. You can tell, like, he really wants justice for this lady.
Yeah. Oh, and after he beats the guy up, they talk to him at the bar. He and old Guy Boyd go to the bar. Peter Strauss and Guy Boyd go to the bar and talk it out. Peter Strauss is all pissy, and he at some point he asks him if he's ever heard about entropy. And I was thinking, boy,
right.
we sure heard about entropy last episode.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
You know what entropy is, Les?
Hell, I barely made it out of high school.
Tendency of everything to go to hell.
He has a funny line about it. He's like, that's when everything goes to hell. You remember quite what he says?
No. We could grab it, but maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, everything. Yeah, that's when everything. Yeah, a tendency of everything to go to hell or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he bangs on the bar. He's getting boozy.
I'm trying to think. There's a few scenes here and there between him and the wife before she finally leaves him for good.
On the beach.
Yeah.
Very Michael Mann-y.
Okay, I'm going to bring us back to the lineup scene.
Yes.
Eric Roberts is there at the very end.
Mm-hmm. And the snakeskin boots is what brings him back into the case.
That's right. And the lady points him out.
Yep, he gets picked out of the
nail
lineup.
him. And so he goes to court.
Yes.
And there's a fun scene where he's incarcerated. The lawyer comes in with Lauren Holly.
Oh yeah, well there's a scene where he's booked.
Yeah.
And he just talks all this shit to the camera in kind of H.I. McDonough fashion.
Yeah. And so the lawyer comes in with Lauren Holly, and the lawyer gives him some counsel. And as they're leaving, Eric Roberts asks the lady to hang back.
Yes.
We've also left out that he has gone to her house and met her.
Yeah, and she's pegged him. She's like, "You're just a cheap con man," or something like that. And he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You think I'm over my head?" And she's like, "I would, except for you're too damn good looking, or except for you're so damn good looking." So she believes that he's just charming and handsome enough to actually pull off what he says, or at least shoot for the moon and land among the stars.
He asks her to wait back as everyone else leaves,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure is very common. It happens pretty
Yeah,
commonly
this whole
in a jail
situation
cell.
here is like, I don't know. The thing is, I didn't look into this book or the real story of how this happened. So I don't know how the real guy did this, but this was pretty like poor policing, pretty lax courtroom behavior. Cal Harper's a charmer.
Cal Harper is a charmer, and he tells Lauren Holly in the room when they're alone together, he says something to the effect of, he goes, "You're right, I am a con man and a bit of a bastard, but I did not do this." So he maintains his innocence.
Yes, he never wavers.
And they go to court, and the verdict is guilty.
Yes.
Everyone's Roberts' character is definitely shocked.
His lawyer's not
And
pleased.
The lawyer is trying to argue about the beating and to have it all thrown out because of that there was a conspiracy against Roberts' character.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is starting to leave the courtroom. Roberts tells Lauren Holly, he says, "You need to get out of here." So she leaves, and then he asks a bailiff
Yes.
or a police officer for a cigarette.
Yeah, it may not be the bailiff. It may just be some police guard. Yeah, maybe. He asks some policeman for a cigarette.
Yeah, the policeman's going to put the handcuffs on him, and right before he is going to cuff him, he asks for a cigarette.
For later.
Yeah. He goes, "You can't smoke in here," and Eric Roberts is like, "Come on, brother, it's for later."
Yeah, then why not cuff him and then give him the smoke?
Well, luckily the guy has cigarettes on him.
You know, let me finish my job I'm doing right here, and I'll give you a cigarette. Seems like a classic power behavior trade-off. You can't beat me. I'll give you what you asked for.
In the process of this, Eric Roberts is able to wrestle away the gun from the cop.
Yes.
Hold him hostage.
Yeah, this guy's got to get a big chewing out, this cop. We see a lot of good police work in this film.
Max Cole is here at this verdict reading.
Yeah, of course he would be.
And so Roberts' character makes his way out of the courtroom, and so he starts to run down the hall, and you think, okay, he's getting out of here. But no, he rushes to the men's room and finds Detective Cole.
Yes.
And gives him a nice beating.
Yes, yes.
He pistol whips him and he kicks him.
Yeah. Risks it all for a little revenge.
and then he continues to risk it. He rushes out and finds Lauren Holly getting into her convertible. Do you remember what kind of car this is?
Oh, fudge. No, I don't.
I don't think you and I are really car guys.
No. Sometimes I notice and sometimes I don't. Or sometimes I can note. They do have some kind of car. I don't know.
It's a nice looking convertible. He jumps in, instantly hands her the gun.
Yes.
And starts the car up, and they get away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of our Act 1.
Yeah. Oh, we got a siren. We are like right at 12:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday in Hollywood, so there might be many a noise. I promise nothing.
Just give it one more second. Okay. So that's the closing of Act 1, I would say.
Yeah. So then we go to what happens next is, they go, Lauren Holly and Eric Roberts started a new life together on the lam, and Peter Strauss, another woman, no, wait, go ahead, you've got this better, go ahead, so I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, life doesn't get better for Detective Cole. He gets transferred and given a desk job.
Oh, yeah, and he's supposed to be on, teaching kids about stuff?
Yeah, he's basically in some kind of
community outreach,
Cops for Kids program, in which he's very unhappy about.
Yeah, come on, Sergeant, there's a desk job!
But he cannot let the obsession with this case go.
No.
And Roberts and Holly are living on the lam. I'm not sure which state they end up in. Seems like maybe they're out in the desert.
Yeah, they might go. It feels like they go to New Mexico or something, or Arizona. Is what it feels like.
They kind of keep it in the Southwest.
Yeah, they're definitely in some deserty place, and they're out of Texas. I don't think they go. I think I would remember maybe if they go to Shreveport or something, but it's too deserty. It feels like. Cal
is getting by as an auto mechanic.
Yes, and he has the classic criminal problem where it's like this con man suddenly is too good of an auto mechanic. Gets him into trouble. They recommend him to a cop who starts asking about him because he wants to hire him.
Mm-hmm. Which makes him very nervous.
Yeah, his paranoia is high. And you can see, like, I mean, he's wanted for he's been convicted of rape and attempted murder.
Yeah, he's going to go in forever.
And
if they get him.
running on the lam.
Well, Life on the Lam isn't too bad because they have a very nice place.
Oh yeah. They're set up pretty sweet.
I had to laugh at that. I don't know what Lauren Holly's character is doing for work. I'm not sure. I don't think it shows.
Yeah, maybe she got to the bank and was able to withdraw everything before they froze her accounts.
Maybe she's not working at all. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe Cal had some money in a boot somewhere.
Here's a question:
Some
Did they
guys
sell?
owed me some money.
Did they still have the convertible? I think we see it again.
Good question. Doesn't
That's hilarious.
No, isn't there?
If that's so.
No, wait. There's a thing where she brings up how many cars he's been selling so quickly because he's paranoid.
Well, he's been making a lot of money off of them too.
Yeah, that's
Fixing them up and reselling them.
He's been selling. He's been turning around cars, and maybe he's just been running enough short cons that he bought him a nice house. Because she insists, she's like, enough time's gone. They've stopped looking for you, honey. You're small potatoes now. Blah blah. There's no, all your rape spree has stopped, so they're not looking for you.
Well,
my parents don't care that I'm missing.
Someone gets raped again.
Yes,
pretty soon
exactly.
in the mix of this part of the movie.
Yep.
And it's Elizabeth Pena.
So the spree picks back up. Roberts just can't stop the raping.
Yeah, so the
snakeskin boots.
Did the boots reappear?
I believe so.
Well, this comes to the attention of Detective Cole.
Yeah, Elizabeth Pena
instantly
gets really not a fun time here. She faces a tea kettle while it happens, remember?
Yeah.
She's bent over in her kitchen.
She sees a reflection.
Yeah. She
right?
kind of sees an obscured reflection of the of her assailant, and she sees her tea kettle.
Yeah. Good call, Roy. Good call. You have an eye for details, my friend.
Yes. She's important to the story. She's a key character.
Well, Max Cole tracks her down, this Flo character.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all on the side, right? Like this becomes his side obsession.
Yes. He's not supposed to be near it or something. Maybe the fact that they got that guy, I don't know. At any rate.
And wherever this rape happened, it's not far from where Cal Harper is holed up.
Ah, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, I could be getting
this
screwed
so?
up, but okay, this part of the movie, I'm sorry, it's a little fuzzy for me, but somehow, what's the clue that leads Cole back to Cal? He ends up at the auto shop.
Well, the thing is that he wants Cal because the same stuff comes up of the boot of the snakeskin boot.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is way later we see that Cal actually gets busted for something, and puts him right into Peter Strauss's hands.
Yes, but Strauss almost gets to. He makes it to the house.
Oh, but just too late. What leads him to the thing? I don't know. I don't remember.
I forget there is something leads Cole to the auto shop that Roberts' character's working at, and he finds out where Roberts is living.
Yes, from the guy working.
But Roberts has been tipped off.
You're right.
So Cole and the second victim, Flo, they go to the house at night, and Cole tells her, get on the phone and call the cops and tell them that there's an officer down here. So basically he's going to draw the cops over to the house and get Eric Roberts' character busted.
Ah.
So Detective Cole busts into their house where they've been on the lam, but they're gone.
Oh, shit.
They got away. So the story continues.
A lot of hanging out between Peter Strauss and Elizabeth Pena here.
Yeah, I zoned out a little bit during these scenes, but he starts to develop the same kind of over concern for her that he did for the last victim.
Oh.
And Pena.
There's a part earlier where Guy Boyd and Peter Strauss are walking together in the office or outside something, and he's like, are you just going to take it? And the way he says take it, Guy Boyd says the way he's like, are you just going to take it? It sounds exactly like the way they say it in take it to the limit. And there's like a weird pause there, and I thought they were going to say to the limit.
I'm not going to sit here anymore and take it. Take it.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, I said it both times I watched the movie.
But this is a TV film, and they didn't have the money for that kind of music licensing.
Maybe it was cut out, that joke. So have we gotten to where has he told Lauren Holly she's gotten so uncool yet?
I think this is getting ready to happen because their relationship kind of starts to get very rocky.
Yes.
Once they have to take off again.
Yeah, and he started drinking a lot. His paranoia and the life on the lam, life on the lam has just gotten to him to where he's like boozing and despairing and become kind of a whiny piece of shit.
Yeah, this is the unfun section of the film.
Yes.
And Lauren Holly gets tired of his stuff and then finally just leaves him. So he's all by himself. And while this is happening, Pena's character.
But wait,
Flo,
when she leaves him, they really get into it, and he says that language. You are so uncool, or something. That is so uncool. Like he is so uncool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
No, I missed that line, but...
You called your mother last week. That is so uncool, honey. They could have traced the call, sweetheart. They could have traced the call.
He had some
I'm
classic
loving
stuff.
the development of your Roberts impression as this series continues.
Well, let me ask you this.
I think you're getting better at it.
Oh, thank you.
I'm getting worse.
Well, do you know what I was on the lookout for this time after you brought it up? Did you get any kind of count on how many teeth sucks we got in this?
Oh, I should have counted. Did you
No,
count?
I didn't count, but I did at least remember to notice it. And oh my goodness,
I definitely noticed at least 4 teeth sucks.
he was definitely on it.
And some good, like, boyish, the giddy Eric Roberts laughter. I heard that a few times throughout. So she's so uncool. And she takes off.
Yeah.
And then Pena's character notices, I think it's like a church flyer or like an evangelical flyer on a wall. Does that sound right?
Mm-hmm.
So she notices one of these preachers, and then it all comes flooding back to her. That he looks
Something
very
happens
familiar.
where she's somewhere and something like a tea kettle comes back.
Yep, she's having.
And it brings back what she saw in the reflection.
She's sitting in the kitchen by herself, and all this stuff starts to come back.
Yes.
And then she realizes that it's a different guy.
Yeah, yes, and it's this guy. She thinks it's actually this guy that is in this picture, who is played by
Robert Erics.
He plays a guy named Terry Gifford. It's a man named Salvatore Zwereb, who is in many things. He's an actor who's worked a lot and is still working.
Kind of a scary guy.
He looks kind of creepy in this, like kind of Eric Roberts meets Steve Buscemi or something. Also reminds me of the actor from the Aaron Burr commercial, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, Peanut Butter in the Mouth commercial directed by Michael Bay.
Wow, I need to find this.
You never remember that, where it's like the guy's supposed to call in to the
Yes.
the man's supposed to tries to call in to answer. Yes, to that radio.
I know the actor, the Weasley Buscemi-esque actor that you're referring to.
Let me ask you this. Eating some soup, it's pretty good.
That's professional, Roy.
Let me ask you this, ED. Have you ever called in and won a radio competition at all? Or answered a radio question or quiz or anything?
You know, I feel like I tried. Yeah, I tried to answer something one time, but I wasn't the right caller. How about you?
I think I had as a youth many times where I wasn't the right caller and was like obsessed with trying to call into things, like as a boy, but not like on end for weeks at a time or anything, but for like a few days, just be like, oh, I really want to call into this thing and get a song on the air or win this money they're trying to give out or something.
I was a big fan of the dedication, the on-air dedication.
Crazy. I wouldn't really do those. I wouldn't really have a dedication to give it to. That was a good one.
That's how you win a young lady's heart.
You were much more of a ladies' man. The ladies I wanted, like as a boy, or the way I was as a boy, it wasn't just the ladies I wanted. It was pretty much any lady. I think if I would have done that, that would have just not gone over.
You're more of a man's man.
Yeah, if I would have done it and dedicated it to a man, it would have gone over. But I would actually, I called in a couple of times and won trivia on the radio as in my age, somewhere between ages like probably 20 and 25.
I can see it. You are a trivia master.
Thank you. But yeah, I do feel like things I'm interested in, like weird minutia trivia, I sometimes can remember it. Not perfectly, but I remember a lot of things.
My mind is more like a pipe. The information just flows right through it, and nothing retains.
That's good.
But in Fugitive Among Us from 1992, what happens is Detective Cole brings back the first victim and shows her the picture of this new suspect. And I think after a little bit of convincing, is this right, Roy?
Yeah.
I think she comes around and realizes that maybe she did point out the wrong guy.
Well, she's pretty sure from the start that she pointed out the wrong. It's Strauss that's like the skeptic.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that scene
He
too
doesn't
well,
want to
where
let
they
go
and visit
of the
her.
idea. He really wants it to be Cal Harper. He's been after him so hard.
Yeah, he wants Cal bad.
Yeah, he wants him so bad that she starts questioning what it's all about and why he won't just listen to what she's saying.
He's also in a romance now. He's kind of in a relationship with the second victim.
Yes.
I mean, they've locked lips once or twice at this point.
Yeah, he really identifies with these victims
And I think it's her that really kind of pushes him to pursue this other suspect.
You can see that as his marriage is falling apart. Some kind of like vulnerable women he feels like he can help in an actual way, and yeah.
Well, without his girlfriend, Cal Harper he reverts back to being a bit of a bastard, and he shows up at a convenience store and shoplifts a bunch of stuff, which he gets caught for and arrested.
You see him get led away, and you think and you see when the guy's like, "Wait here, we're going to arrest you," and you think,
there's going to be like a nice struggle or an escape.
Yes, but no, and that's, I think, pointed. Maybe they meant to do that, and maybe not. But the whole behavior of him doing that after being on the lam so long, and then just shoving some stuff and not looking around and stuff, it's like, all of a sudden he didn't care anymore. He was tired of running and felt like such a loser. He just wrote that Born to Lose ticket right on his face.
Yeah. It's a weird way to turn yourself in.
And leaned into it.
Subconsciously.
Yeah. He wanted to be caught, I think.
Subconsciously, he just couldn't take it anymore.
No. He wrapped him too tight, and he had to make it end.
So in this time period, Detective Cole tracks down the second suspect. And I keep leaving out this guy's name.
It is Terry Gifford?
Terry Gifford, that's right. So he tracks down Terry Gifford.
Classic pervert.
And there's some good pursuing that goes down there with that.
Got a name like Terry Gifford, you're probably going to be some kind of raper.
He's working as a longshoreman at a dock or something somewhere, and they find him on the job. He tries to run. They track him down. Somebody gets shot.
He shoots Guy Boyd, which is one of my favorite questions in this movie. Do you remember this scene in this? They're in a parking garage or something, like as usual in these movies.
Like a warehouse, yeah.
I think but at any rate, Guy Boyd gets shot, and what's his face? Terry Gifford, the actor, Salvatore Zareb. He's hiding somewhere with the gun, and Peter Strauss is calling out for Guy Boyd, whatever Guy Boyd's character's name, Mitchell or something like that. And he's like, Mitchell, Mitchell, Mitchell. And you never hear anything. Then eventually he finds Mitchell, and Mitchell's only shot in the leg. Why the fuck didn't Mitchell answer him? What a dick.
Les Stubbs.
Another shining example of the police work in this film.
Yeah, good work, Mitch.
Yeah, after the guy in the so far we've had Peter Strauss has now beat a suspect, ruining a case. We've seen a police officer just give his gun over to a convicted raper and attempted murderer. We've now seen a guy just not answer his partner because he's just hit in the leg in a life or death situation. They're doing pretty well. And it's highly likely at this point that in fact this guy who's running and shooting the guy in the leg and not Eric Roberts is the real raper, meaning that Peter Strauss has been wrong the entire film in his police work.
Here's a question I have. How does Cole even get onto this other case? Who allowed that to happen?
I think maybe the fact that Roberts was convicted got him some leeway. And in the movies where...
but he was transferred in disgrace.
Yeah, but wasn't he transferred maybe after... Was it before the beating or after the conviction? I think maybe he got his kind of job, he got his nuts kind of back from the being on the desk job or something after they convict Roberts, or after they bring in Roberts.
Yeah, somehow somebody superior to him lets him back on the case.
I think so. I'm not sure though. I
And
could be wrong.
So yeah, in that scene you were talking about, so they nail Terry Gifford and they get him, and I believe they even find his boots.
Yes, with the heel print we missed. There's a thing where there's a heel imprint.
Yeah, so he's the
That is
real
the same.
culprit.
Yes. They not only
And the
have
next
the
thing-
same snakeskin boots, they're the same brand of snakeskin boots. Even.
Yeah, what are the odds?
The guy looks a lot like Eric Roberts in this movie.
His boots look a lot like Eric Roberts.
Yeah. Like you could definitely see how that lady would mess it up in the lineup if only one of them was in the lineup. They're like, oh yeah, that guy looks a lot like the guy that raped me. Yeah, they did a good job.
Especially if you were shot, 4 times and now have brain damage.
So you're saying they didn't look much alike?
No, they did.
I kind of thought they did, yeah.
I just want to keep bringing up the woman's brain damage. Well, we see Cal Harper in the jail cell, and who shows up to apologize but Detective Cole, who comes in and basically tells him that they found the actual raper
Yes.
and that he's free to go.
But he
So
takes
I'm
the
guessing-
cuffs off on him himself. And yeah, just makes a fool like you're a free man.
No mention of Roberts pulling a gun out from the
No, that's just
cop in
forgiven
the
now.
courtroom. Everything's thrown out, which is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and even just uncuffing
No charges.
you, like the way they let him, like he's just gonna let him out like that. I guess I don't know. Like I guess you can uncuff him. Like that's easy to. I guess I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The not facing any prosecution for the running.
But here near the end of the film, we
But
have
I could see
great,
that if it turns out you're innocent for like that shit, it's like maybe you going on the lam should just immediately be forgiven, right?
I mean, if you pull a gun though and beat up a cop and the
Fuck
guy
that. They were gonna
created
put
so
you
much
away
great-
for life. The system fucked you. They said
I don't know.
they said we took all the evidence and decided you, sir, are a raper, and you didn't do it. And then later on they found out you didn't. It's like,
We
hasn't he
should've
already
read the
paid
source
with all the
book.
paranoia that he's faced? You could argue that maybe he couldn't, maybe it hurts his lawsuit now. But it's like,
no, I
come
just
on,
don't.
man. They should throw out him going on the lam. He was the one who was right. They
Well, I
used
could
the gun to
I could-
restrain him.
I could totally see the detective throwing out, not wanting to press charges for being beat up.
Oh, yeah.
But man, if you if you grab a gun from a cop in the courthouse and hold someone hostage,
Fuck that, man. He was innocent.
well, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to read the book now.
Yeah, I want to
see
know
how
the
it really
facts.
went down.
Or at least, find some kind of Google connection or something. I thought about it. Maybe even looked briefly.
Here at the end of the film, we have a great. Once he's let go and forgiven, Roberts can't leave well enough alone, and he has to tell off the
Yes, of
detective
course.
in
Oh,
a really
yeah.
great scene.
Which is great because his character is so consistent throughout. He is
Yeah.
really just like a low rent kind of con man, petty guy, loves to brag. He's got no class. Good looking guy
class
with
at
no
all.
class and a fast mouth. And he takes his opportunity here to just not forgive at all and throw it in his face.
Our story ends with Detective Cole and the second victim, Flo, together in the Stilts house in Galveston, and the healing begins between both of them.
He leaves his
And
badge.
that's
He
right.
quits his job as a cop. As well he should. He was a terrible, terrible cop.
Well, that's
He
so
also
that's a
got beat up
Fugitive
by a
Among
suspect
Us.
in a bathroom. Or by a guy on the lam. It's like he was embarrassed and wrong at every turn.
At every turn, I'm telling you, the scene where he tries to set up busting him.
Yes.
When he's on the lam is so funny. And I forgot to mention during that scene, Pena's character does call the cops, but he comes out of the house so sad that he lost the guy. And they have a nice long moment where they're talking to each other. They need to be getting the hell out of there, right?
Oh, dude.
He's not supposed to be doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not on that job, you
No.
know. And plus he's broken the law by calling in a fake man down.
Another thing that what's-his-face said, Eric Roberts at some point said to Lauren Hawley that he'd kill her if she did something. Just like in a final analysis, like, I'll kill you. So when he was getting all depressed, that's maybe when she left him or something.
I will leave you before I let you ruin our lives.
You will leave?
Yes.
You leave me, and I'll kill you. I swear it.
He was going to turn into a beater.
Oh man, so how do you feel about this film?
I give it it's a mediocre movie. I'd give it a mild thumbs down because it was boring. It was boring. It was really slow to me. It wasn't a terrible story. I could understand why you would think that was worth putting into a movie. But what do you think?
Well, this was another time when I was really sad that we weren't watching it together.
Oh yes, it's a good one it was a one to watch with friends. I was really hoping you would watch it with your girlfriend. She's the kind of person I think would also have enjoyed this movie.
She was around when I was watching it, and there were some funny jokes made.
Okay.
She does enjoy stuff like this, so yeah. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than you did, but for campy reasons.
Oh yeah, it was pretty funny. But in the end, I'm most thankful that this movie inspired me to watch other things.
Yeah.
And one of my real feelings, so you liked this more than me, so what would you give this out of 10?
Oh, I don't know, 4.
Even figuring in
What did you give it? What was your score?
I said a 5, but I guess a 4 is fair. It's really bland. Like, the characters need more punch. The performances are all pretty good.
I liked Roberts in this a lot.
Yeah, Roberts was good as the cocky, crazy guy. This may be his strongest performance yet, and yeah, he was playing a character I kind of like. He's playing another version of the same character we've seen him in every movie.
So how would you rate his fit in the film?
His fitness?
His look, his clothes and hair.
I mean, trashy.
He wears a lot of V-neck T-shirts. Did you notice that?
No, I like to wear V-necks.
Well, I saw the V-neck you were wearing.
Yeah, I wear
today.
V-necks almost all the time. I have a few rules of fashion, and this is not one of the rules. This is just a preference. But I really like V-necks, and that's just a personal preference that I like V-neck collars.
I like loose collared T-shirts if I'm lounging around the house. But yeah, I did enjoy the. I mean, he wears multiple V-necks in the film, and they're very deep cut V-necks, almost like the American Apparel style that was kind of popular there in the later 2000s.
I'm down with that.
And he's got the nice feathered hair in this one.
Yeah, I wear V-neck T-shirts and V-neck sweaters.
A slight mullet going on.
Yeah, he's got a mullet going, for sure.
But a tasteful one, not an outrageous one.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, something about him in this, I really enjoyed his, he really kind of plays he's so good at playing bad boys who are very boyish.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes.
I guess that's his thing. I'm starting to discover.
Very much. I would say yes.
Oh yeah, one note that I made that was crazy. When he's in the jail cell near the end for that last scene between him and the detective, he's got his head craned back. He's leaning his head back against the cell wall. And I took a screen grab of it, and I started to notice this through the rest of the scene, that Eric Roberts kind of has 2 Adam's apples.
Oh, crazy.
Like he has like really kind of 2 knots in his throat.
He's probably got 0% body fat. This was the same year. Do you think this was prime eating disorder Roberts?
He's pretty lean.
He's
here.
real skinny in this.
Yeah.
He and Strauss are both incredibly skinny dudes. Incredibly fit.
Really? I thought Strauss was a little bit more wide framed.
I think it's just that he's wearing jackets.
Yeah,
I think he's really, like, his
blazers.
face is sharp. And maybe it's just because one of the things that this made me go back and watch, I'd seen once before, but not really appreciated as much as this time, is I watched a much better TV movie, The Jericho Mile, starring Peter Strauss.
Yes.
Did you watch this?
Directed by Michael Mann. I have it queued up. I saw that it's available.
Oh man, this was a good prison movie and a great TV movie. And it was real cool and you got to know a bunch of different characters in a prison, and it all revolves around, for people who don't know, it's a prison movie and it's a running movie. It's kind of a sports movie, but it's kind of a hard-assed prison movie for something that would it's not R-rated in that there's not a lot of blood or like nobody says shit or the F word, but it is kind of, it's gritty, and it's like believably gritty, and it's about a guy that like is a very Michael Mann kind of convict that runs, and he runs every day, and that he's in prison for life for murder, and he runs every day, and there's a timer, and somebody's been timing him. Sometimes they say, sometimes he's running like around a 4-minute mile or almost a town, and they're like, what? And it turns out he might be like one of the fastest people in America, so they start trying to like pull strings behind the scenes, and meanwhile there's like gangster stuff, and like there's like different things with criminal enterprises behind the scenes, and warlords in prison and stuff, and you get to know all these ins and outs. It's a pretty darn good prison film. I'd rate it among the tops. And
nice, sounds kind of good.
And Peter Strauss is really good in it.
I wish Eric Roberts was in it.
Yeah. What do you know? Let's talk about Peter Strauss. What do you know of Peter Strauss?
So I did a little research on him because he did look familiar to me, but I just looking up his resume, I guess he was in a lot of television.
He's the kind of the TV movie king.
It's what it looks like.
It's what I kind of like heard. He and what I know of him is that, and I could be off about this. I felt kind of bad not knowing his work better, but is that pretty much he and Nick Nolte are on that Rich Man, Poor Man, part 1. And it's like a massive TV hit or something. And then for some reason, like Nick Nolte goes on to be like a big movie star, and Peter Strauss goes on to just be the king of TV movies.
One thing that I noticed...
It looks like some of them seem like quality projects and some of them don't over the years. And yeah, it seems like several of them, though, have been thought of as pretty quality TV, especially in the 70s and 80s.
Well, a lot of voice work for kids, for cartoon shows.
Ah.
I noticed, like, he's a voice actor in Godzilla the series and Men in Black the cartoon series, as well as Biker Mice from Mars.
I watched another movie with him and with what's-his-face, Dennis Letts.
Oh, nice.
And it was terrible. It's a 90s movie called Keys to Tulsa. And it's one of those, like, it's based on a crime novel, and it comes off as very much a wannabe kind of Tarantino movie, but it really could have been a bad crime movie in any era. And it could have actually maybe been a good crime movie in any era, but it's really poorly directed. Kind of a fun performance in there by James Spader. A lot of nude Joanna Going, if that's what you're going for.
Well, so this film is from 92,
yeah.
And this is kind of in that period where the Bonnie and Clyde outlaw romance film was kind of making a comeback, which this had a little bit of, but wasn't like the main feature.
It definitely had some element of it with the car, them just kind of like them being so pretty,
But I think
it definitely had that.
Point,
and that was a neat thing. See, he first trying to get away, and the way they played that, you could see how you could feel like it was like you were trying to sell yourself on being a Lauren Holly. Those parts were kind of good. It's like to her, it was like some kind of like, oh, we're like living a crazy adventure.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to come around to being convinced that she would fall for this guy and go off with him, but yeah, once they're on the lam like that, and
yeah, in real life it would play out over a lot longer, not the going with him in that moment, but the just the falling for him and believing his story so much, and then his like desperate act. You might feel desperate too.
He is kind of lovable here.
And she doesn't know him well enough to get beyond the charm to see the kind of like guy he actually is, and kind of that under pressure as it goes along he becomes.
What do you think kicked off these types of movies? I'm thinking of Wild at Heart and True Romance, and a little bit later, Natural Born Killers.
And the remake of The Getaway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we could think of more. Of course, Thelma and Louise go on the run in a car.
Of course, you have The Fugitive too from around this time period.
Yeah, that's not quite
the same genre, but
not
it's
exactly.
Similar to.
Yeah, I don't know. The lovers on the run kind of theme. I don't know. People always think they like road movies.
It was a kind of a '90s thing, early '90s. But yeah, we get a little bit of that here.
I'm not sure what the genesis or what would be like. What kicked all that off? What was a big hit movie? I think sometimes things take a long time to get made, and maybe there was a kind of a cult hitness of the Badlands going on, and I don't know, maybe it never went away.
I'm glad you brought up Badlands, because I did think of that a little bit when I was watching this.
Oh yeah.
the cowboy boots especially, but also Martin Sheen's character being kind of this innocent.
Well, there's a new movie that I saw called The Little Things. Have you heard of The Little Things?
I don't think so.
It's a new big movie. It was just, their Golden Globes just happened, and one nomination was from The Little Things was Jared Leto. And to spoil or not spoil a little bit of the The Little Things revolves around trying to find a serial killer. And the serial killer suspect is Jared Leto. And he's playing a very similar, like, where you don't know if he did or if he didn't kind of scumbag part to Eric Roberts. But they take it in a different direction, and Jared Leto was nominated for the Oscar. But also in it, like, there's a whole repeat thing of, like, Denzel wears these cowboy boots that always come into play. I was like, wow, there are a lot of Fugitive Among Us vibes in this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, I know about this film. I was getting it mixed up. There's a HBO series called Little Things.
Oh, my bad. Maybe this isn't the same thing.
No, this has
Maybe it's
the
called
same
All the
title.
Little
That's what's
Things or
confusing.
something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember now. I'm getting
It's kind of a
little screwed
forgettable
up.
movie. It was alright.
Give me some more dead space here. Cut
What
it.
about so you never saw much with Peter Strauss. What about how'd you feel about Elizabeth Pena? I went on a little bit of an Elizabeth Pena watch fest too.
Well, just a brief IMDb search and seeing that she had been in La Bamba. List off some more that she's done, Roy.
Well, what I watched another better than Fugitive Among Us, unfortunately, TV movie. I watched the 3-part miniseries, Part 1, Drug Wars Part 1, The Camarena Story, with such figures as Elizabeth Pena, Benicio del Toro, Stephen Bauer, and many more. Miguel Ferrer. Who else was in
What
this?
year is this?
It's from like 1990 or 92, or it's from the early 90s, or 90 or something, and it's produced. You watched Miami Vice's pilot. And this was also executive produced by Michael Mann, and it didn't quite have the Total Man aesthetic, although it did have a lot of attempts at like impressive architecture. But it was well done. It was well directed. It was all directed by Brian Gibson, the guy that did What's Love Got to Do with It, and it was a really fun TV miniseries. It was pretty cool. It was really.
Nice.
It's also free on YouTube. I'd recommend that, and I would also recommend. I watched with some people who thought it was really slow, which is what I thought when I saw it when I was a teenager. Have you seen Lone Star anytime recently?
No, not in a long time.
I watched it, seeing that she was in it. Maybe that's what Tracy Letts was in, not he's probably accused of Tulsa, has Tulsa in the title. But at any rate, she was in that movie Lone Star by John Sayles, and I thought it was pretty awesome. It has some creaky parts, but I thought it was a pretty darn cool movie. Watching it this time, I didn't appreciate it when I was younger, but I don't think the people I watched it with cared for it.
Yeah. Okay, so closing thoughts on Fugitive Among Us.
Okay, one thing I noticed was that I thought was funny was when Peter Strauss said, when the Terry Gifford, he claimed his rape victim liked it, and Peter Strauss says, quite appropriately, no, Gifford, she didn't like it. She hated it.
Yeah.
I felt this whole thing would have been better served as an episode of Justified, on which Eric Roberts played a character that for a couple episodes it was like a older, turn into the bottle, more like sad, kind of sad, like a sad projection, slightly sad but still slightly heroic and cool version, like future version of the main character Raylan Givens. And so I thought this whole thing would be cooler if it was like a Justified episode, like a side episode where Raylan Givens helps Eric Roberts hunt down Eric Roberts, and it turns out Eric Roberts is innocent and Eric Roberts is a shitty cop.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
It's a good pitch.
and I want a couple of loose ends. You brought up in our Heaven's Prisoners podcast the obsession with nut punches in the 80s and 90s, and I didn't really think of I couldn't think of examples. I didn't really know what you were talking about that much. You could kind of tell. And I watched a movie recently called On Deadly Ground, directed by Steven Seagal, and this movie had more people getting punched in the nuts. It was crazy. You were really right.
Yeah.
Also,
it's really big in kids' films, like Three Ninjas and stuff like that. You see it a lot.
This is an R-rated action, environmentally conscious action film. And we had a listener named Murray who says that Timer does survive in The Specialist. You see it escape, actually. It's not just an IMDb made-up thing. I think that's all I got on this episode.
Yeah. I honestly, I didn't know anything about this going into it, and I honestly was kind of shocked when it turned out that Roberts was not a raper.
They played it pretty well for a while. At some point when it keeps going on, you kind of realize that he's probably not the raper. Or at least, I don't know. At first I thought he wasn't, but then when she picked... See, you really latched on to how addled the victim was of the first thing. I really I didn't think it was Eric Roberts until she picked him out of the lineup. And then I really wasn't sure for a little while. Then I was like, well, I mean, I guess, why would it be a movie if he turned out to be, unless he did something super crazy in the end. But as soon as, when somebody else got raped, I think that when Elizabeth Pena got raped, I think that was maybe the big tipping point. But I might have already been pretty sure he didn't do it before then. I'm not sure.
Well, when I saw that scene, I thought it was just Roberts' character sneaking out at night to go
get another
keep committing.
Sure. They played it that way, sure. But I thought at that point,
I'm gullible about stuff like that. Like when they connected the boots, I was like, it's him. Easily.
So I thought the more evidence they had, the more it felt like it wasn't him, in a way, because it makes it why are they giving me the evidence if it's just the guy I already think it is, almost. But then again, they needed ways to have a movie. So
it's definitely not Eric Roberts' voice saying, you whore, at the beginning.
No.
But I just
but you could
thought
make
maybe
it,
he was disguising
you
his
could
voice.
pretend it, yes. Yeah, you could convince yourself it was. What would you like?
I watched a similar film about a guy who was unfairly charged called Richard Jewell.
Oh, how'd you like Richard Jewell?
I got into it. I felt for the guy and his story. And I thought it was a well-made film. It kind of felt like a television movie.
I saw it on the big screen.
You know, Eastwood just rolls through these movies at this point. He makes them so fast.
I loved Richard Jewell. I've been meaning, it leaves HBO at the end of the month, and I've been meaning, I think I'll watch it at some point this month. I saw it at the theater and not again, but I enjoyed it the first time I saw it.
I watched it right around the same time as Fugitive, and so I started to make these connections. You know, the way the cops really screw him over and try and set him up, and it's the FBI.
Oh
Richard
yeah,
Jewell,
they just can't. You know, they have their bias, and once they have a theory, they don't want to see anything outside the theory. You know, just like anybody, that can happen to anybody. You're so sure of something, you don't want to be proven wrong.
You know, I think the lesson learned, Roy, from this episode is that you can be a con man and a bit of a bastard, but it doesn't mean you're guilty.
Of being a raper.
Of being a raper.
No, it doesn't. There are many different degrees of scumbaggery and different reasons for people's scumbaggery. Perhaps some rapers are less bad than some con artists, but some con artists are probably much less bad than most rapers.
Okay, well, join us next time. Do you have a selection?
Oh, it's your turn. It's your turn to pick.
Okay. Well, I'll think about it a little bit.
Okay.
And it'll be a surprise for the audience.
All right.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, wait, I wanted to say one
day.
last thing. This was the first one we've done where I tried to listen to the other Eric Roberts podcast, and they didn't do this movie as far as I can tell.
Maybe I lied to myself.